Hi folks, and welcome back to the allotment. It is a wonderful time of year. Everything is starting to explode into life and there's absolutely loads to update you on. The allotment looks unrecognisable since I think it was last on video, and I've got a few exciting updates. I've got one thing that everyone's been waiting for. New glass. Finally going to be able to plug the skylight. Unfortunately, this is a bit awkward to store at the moment. I can't put it in the shed. I'll show you why at some point in today's video. I've got a few other random exciting things. Look at this, I finally bought a half moon edger. So I know that's going to make some of you very happy. And I've given it a little test, and actually I think it's going to make a really good difference to the plot and make the beds look a lot neater. I've also, it was one of those days where I came up with the cart absolutely loaded. Got loads more gravel trays, you can never have too many of these. Not particularly exciting, but this is exciting. Finally put in an order of big old pots for potatoes. If you've ever watched a gardening video on YouTube, you've probably seen recommended in the sidebar something about growing potatoes in containers. People are mad for it, so I want to see what all the fuss is about. I've already got a lot of potatoes planted though this year, so I'm not sure if it'll get much use this year, but I think I'll definitely be able to put those to good use later on. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The plan for today is just to give you a really good update because there's loads and loads of stuff going on. We'll start outside and then I'll bring you in and update you on all of my very, very upset seedlings and the compost issues. I really hope you enjoy. Now, I mentioned that I can't go in the shed. And the reason for that is that I've got a resident robin. I've got a robin that has started nesting in the shed, and I disturbed it accidentally the other day. Didn't know it was there, and oh my god, I've never been more scared in my life. I absolutely jumped out of my skin, so I'm trying to really only go in the shed if I absolutely have to. Because I don't want it to abandon the nest or anything like that. One quite cool thing is that this bee hotel is getting loads and loads of use. I spent a little while earlier watching stuff coming and going, and there's loads of little solitary bees that they've kind of plugged up and they're coming out, they're emerging, which is really, really cool to see. Anyway, let's talk about veg. Well, let's first have a quick talk about the compost, because you can see I'm already starting to build up a nice little amount. This was all emptied, cleared out, and hopefully as this gets full of grass clippings, this is going to create a really nice compost. I've been putting lots of browns in. You can see at the top it's not looking too nice at the moment, but lots of browns, a few kind of spadefuls of wood chip as well, which we get delivered to the allotment, so hopefully that will be good. But moving on to the main beds, onions, you've seen already, but they are absolutely exploding. The question, the killer question is the carrots. Do we have anything? And I don't think we do yet. But I'm not giving up hope. Still early days. I was keeping the board on until just yesterday when I lifted it up and I could see lots of little green shoots. The question is whether or not they're weeds or carrots. We'll see, we'll find out. And just down here you can see, well, I've just started to have a go with the edger, and it really does make a big difference. It's quite surprising. It works really, really well as well, and for a tenner definitely worth it. But I do need to get the builder's line out and run a line so I can get a nice straight thing around the beds, and I'm going to do that today. I think I'm going to go around and get it all looking really neat and tidy. The potatoes, meanwhile, have absolutely erupted from the ground. Generally, I think, looking quite healthy. Really happy with them. Bit of a gamble planting these so early because they're all main crop. I'll link to the video where I put them in and spoke about this a little bit, but yeah, it's good. It's really good. I love to see potatoes coming up because they grow so quick, so strong. Down here, a little row of pak choi seedlings. These are looking, you know, okay. You can see already they're starting to get a bit of flea beetle damage. Those tiny little holes in their leaves, that's definitely flea beetles. So we'll see what they do. And further on, I've done a little sowing of spinach. They've not come up yet. Moving on, the onion bed, this is much the same. There is a daikon radish flower here that has gone absolutely wild, but I quite like how scraggly that looks. It's just doing its thing. I think these flowers are really pretty. Like I say, it could look a little neater, but I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it. I'll leave that for a little while longer. The bees seem to love it. And I'll tell you what else the bees love. my purple sprouting broccoli, which you can see now is just fully over. And I tell you what, it is not smelling too nice. It is absolutely ripe. But I am leaving it in the hopes I can collect some seed, and I've just started to see the first seed pods forming. There's a few here. I'm going to let them swell up and develop a little bit more. I've not actually looked into this before, but I assume that is their seed pods. And this is absolutely crawling with insects. There's little beetles, tiny little flies, your standard pollinators as well, lots of bumblebees and honeybees using it, which is really cool to see. It's quite interesting. But I haven't taken the net off because I think if I do, the pigeons will get in there and absolutely ruin it. And I just want to be sure that I can collect some seed. This next bed is looking a little sad and there's not too much going on. I've just got a little row of onions, and this is going to be where I'm going to plant some squash. You can see the child is absolutely bolting. That's like tripled in size in 2 weeks. So that's not great. But anyway, I have sowed a few little things in here like radish and some beetroot. So I'm hoping I can get some quick crops from here before it's time to get the squash plants or those later cucurbits in. Now the next thing I wanted to talk about is really, really interesting. This is my pea structure that I've got behind me. And you can see I've wrapped some chicken wire around this. These Kelvedon Wonder that I first planted in looked really, really sad. And they've sort of started to recover, but not really. A lot of yellowing, a lot of dieback. And I noticed around the edge of the leaves, there was an awful lot of kind of, I guess you call them like nibbles. You know, it looks like something has been nibbling away at the leaves. And I had no idea what it was. I don't know if it's rodents or birds or what. So I put this around, and I put this up a day or two after planting this second lot of Kelvedon Wonder. So I had a bit of a successional sowing of the peas accidentally, because the first time I did not do enough. You know, we live and learn. And they looked really healthy for a few days, but then I had the thought, I was like, you know what, I'm going to put something around these just in case these start to get nibbled and attacked. And I can see there's one plant in here that has had something that's had a bit of a go in it, but really, really happy to see that I do have some healthy peas. Next thing, let's look at the strawberry bed, because this looks amazing this time of year. Now the strawberry bed, this put such a big smile on my face when I came up to the plot first thing today. It's just, these flowers are so nice. You know, the plants are looking really, really healthy, absolutely loaded with flowers. And there's definitely still a few gaps in the bed where there's kind of a few runners. So hopefully they'll bulk out. And oh, look, we are as well just starting to get the first few shoots of bindweed coming up. Oh, there's a dead crown here as well, unfortunately. So some of the strawberry plants didn't survive, but they were quite old when they were given to me, so not the end of the world, but I'm not going to pick that off on camera. There's another bit just over here. I'll try and get those up properly. Oh, look, we just got the first green strawberries starting to form. So exciting. I did get some strawberries set up in the back garden as well in hanging baskets, and they've just started to fruit as well, which is just so exciting. So exciting. And just down here next to the strawberry bed, you can see I've put out this little flower planter that I've created. I think it might be a little bit dense, and as I said before, I cannot remember what these are. So if you recognise any of these seedlings, please do let me know in the comments. Whoops. Okay, so greenhouse update, and we have mostly good news. On my last update, I showed you all of my lettuce and brassica seedlings that were looking completely and utterly miserable. And it really, really snuck up on me. You know, I just didn't realise how late it was in the year. This year seems to be flying by. And, you know, I hadn't quite clocked that my plants should have been a lot bigger than they were. It's quite often what happens if they're all set back, I find. Then you just kind of think it's normal. So yeah, these have absolutely exploded now that they're in some nicer compost though. There is a absolutely crazy array of brassicas here actually. We've got the Romanesco broccoli, my Sibsy F1 broccoli, that's purple sprouting broccoli that's going to sprout this year, hopefully in kind of September time. GA, I wonder what that is. Oh, these labels are absolutely rubbish. Anyway, there's also Primo and Durham Early. GA is Golden Acre, isn't it? That's what that is. So that's looking good. And just up here, big development. This is exciting. We've got the gutter, the pea gutter. So this has got my main crop peas in, which are a Middlehurst green shaft, is something like that. And I'm just starting to see the first 1 or 2 shoots, which is very, very cool. And I kind of just, you know, I found this gutter on the plot and I was like, yeah, that's going to be great. I'll use that. And then I realised I didn't really have anywhere to put it. I didn't want to put it outside just in case it got nibbled by mice. And I had to kind of come up with this slightly awkward solution of having it on these, which are quite flimsy. So a little bit worrying. And I had to put a few blocks of wood in to kind of try and even it out a little bit, but hopefully, you know, as soon as most of these have germinated and they're starting to look a little bit more developed, I will put them out nice and early so that I can free up this space, because now it's May, it's really time to get all of this cleared. I want all of this gone so that I can bring up my chili peppers. My last update was all about that, so do please go and check it out if you're interested to see what peppers I'm growing this year and how they're doing. It was really interesting to talk about them, and it was the first time I actually got to show them off. But we've got lots of other interesting things in here at the moment. I've got some greyhound cabbage brassicas. So these are winter cabbages, which are what I'm meant to be growing this time of year instead of all the spring cabbages I've sown. Got some kind of mystery seeds, marigolds, my French marigolds still just refusing to germinate. I've got about 100,000 seeds in that pot, I think. Don't know what's going. Oh, this is the first strawberry. How did I even miss that? We've got the first actual red on a strawberry. Yes, that's exciting. Oh, I always, that kind of takes me by surprise. I forget how excited I get like a kid when it comes to seeing the first few red strawberries. Oh, that's exciting. Anyway, next up we've got this calendula pot, which I've continued to take bits out of here and there. They're looking really healthy. And you can see these are some that I pricked out and planted on into their own pot, and they are looking really, really good. It's an interesting comparison, you know, looking at them side by side. But I want to start putting some of these out and about on the plot very soon. I have put some out already, that said. Oh, down here, speaking of chilies, I've got one here, which is a Bangalore Whippet's Tail. And I always do this, I'm not really sure why, it's just a bit of a compulsion, but I always want to bring one up to the greenhouse just to see how it does. You know, see how it does with the sun on it, the new temperature, you know, all the changes that the greenhouse brings. Does it survive? Does it thrive? This one is definitely not thriving, but it is surviving. So that's okay, isn't it? It's like a little kind of weather vane that I use to see how I think the rest of the chili peppers are going to cope. So maybe it would be best just to wait off a little bit until I bring the rest up. And this little flower pot, I sowed a few things. I think this was cosmos and verbena. I don't know if that's just weed seeds in there or if some of those are verbena. I need to look that up. But the cosmos has germinated and they're looking quite nice. I don't know if I'm going to prick them out or just dump this somewhere and have it looking pretty. So the last few bits in the greenhouse, some more interesting updates. And oh, these shells, so I narrowly averted disaster just the other day. These shells had over time just started listing, you know, they were like leaning further and further and it got really severe. And I didn't notice until I was outside looking in. And I was like, wait, the shells are like completely broken, and all this plastic, you can see, has started to kind of deform and warp where all the pressure had just gone on one side. And I think it was because the floor was a little bit uneven, so I've chalked it up with a bit of wood and it seems to be a lot more stable. But we've got loads of really good stuff going on in here. This is more calendula. Look at these. They're sort of adapting to their new home. They don't transplant well. It's what the books say. The books say they don't transplant well, but I think give those a little while and they'll start to beef up a little bit more. These were done about a week ago and they've just kind of stalled. You know, they've got that kind of shock. The leeks are looking okay. They're probably a bit dry, probably need a water. But down here, oh, we've got absolutely amazing germination on the curcubits. We've got butternut squashes, bonbon squash, yes, courgettes. We've got a few cucumbers. The mama, what's mama? Mama is market more. That's what that is. And we've got the masterpiece cucumber as well, which I've never grown before, which is quite exciting. The courgettes I'm doing this year, all green bush. That's what I've done before, and they are great. The only one that's not done yet is this one, which is my summer sunburst squash, which is a bit of a shame. I did only plant 2 seeds in there, and it is a little old, so not the end of the world. I've also planted a new squash as well, which is the Uchi something. Uchi something. I'll flash that up on screen now, and hopefully that'll go well. A little pot of leeks at the back there as well. They're finally starting to germinate, and I've got some more early purple sprouting seedlings as well. And just next door, this is the replacement salad tray. Replacement, successional. I'm just starting to get the first few leaves come up. This is sowed with, I've got some brassicas in here as well. I've got the Wongbok cabbage and a Virtus Savoy cabbage as well. Both of those are winter cabbages, not spring cabbages. And I've got a few Valmain lettuce and all year round lettuce. So that is fantastic. So I was about to start shooting the outro and I forgot to talk about this, which is the thing I'm most excited about this year. Something I'm trying for the first time. It's often really exciting when you try something new. And this is a Charentes melon. Charentes? I don't know. I hate trying to pronounce varieties. When you've never heard someone else say it, you just no idea. No idea how close or how far off you are. But yeah, never ever done a melon before. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll have a bit more space in the greenhouse this year. It won't be so full of chilies. If you saw my last update video, you'll know that I've got too many chili plants again. What can you do, eh? But despite that massive setback actually with the compost and the seedlings, these things are a good 3 or 4 weeks behind where they normally would be. I'm really missing salads. I normally start to be taking salad crops this time of year. And as well, I would normally be clearing the purple sprouting broccoli bed, getting that all done. But it's quite nice, actually. It's worked out quite well with the flowering of the broccoli, letting that go. It means that it kind of makes sense to be leaving that in and having these a little bit further back. So there's lots of silver linings, and everything else is looking pretty decent in the beds. You know, it feels like I'm relatively on top of it. Everything's looking quite nice. One thing I do want to mention is that I'll be taking a little break from making videos. I've got a really busy few weeks coming up. You'll see a few things on Instagram and maybe in the YouTube community post. So I will probably be too busy to do any updates. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you get that notification in 2 or 3 weeks when I do another update video and we can see just how far everything's come. Hopefully it will all be good. All that's left for me to do is to say thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.